young lady, your self-worth is not in looking or playing a part for a young man who's lost himself. So you, and again, it's easier for me to speak more on the male kind because I am one. But young lady, you don't have to do things that's outside of your nature, that's outside of your upbringing, and you know the rules in which your family has set forth for you. You've seen it. And so pull back from some of these unrealistic expectations that you've placed on yourself based off of social media. Okay. So, we're going to do better, y'all. I mean, going into this year, we are going to do better. And I'm going to do my part to sit here and have these tough conversations with you guys because, this gender wars, we're leaving it. We're leaving it in 25. All right. And then this comparison narrative, Hollywood rich and famous, that narrative has got to stop. It's okay to get it out the mud. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Talks with Ken, and I'm your host, Kendrick Rowland. Yes, this is episode 2. I can't wait to get into this. This is Happy New Year. We are here. We have made it, you guys. We have gotten through the rough patch of holiday season. And boy, when I tell you, I am happy. I am happy that all that is over with. And I hope you guys can relate to me on that. And, I can't wait to get today's conversation started. And again, y'all, I'm loving this venue just because I get a chance to know you and you get the chance to know me unfiltered. And going into 2026, now that we're here, a lot of things I want to leave in the past. And I want you guys to leave in the past as well. And what are some of those things? Or I want us to disconnect in order to connect. We seeing carbon copies of one another. Like we are not individuals at all. And back in 2025, y'all know I'm going to do that a lot on my papers, especially when I'm in the office. I'm going to be putting 2025 on my papers when it's supposed to be 2026. So please forgive me, all right? But some things in 2025 that we should leave in the past is everybody being a carbon copy. People from South Carolina want to act like the guys from California, New York. People from Oklahoma want to act like the guys from Texas, Florida. And I think that's one of the root causes of why we have lost who we are, like as individuals. I hope you guys can understand where I'm going with that. But, when we unplug, we have a chance to get to know ourselves. And again, this is the place where I want you to look inward, simplify your life to find out who you are on the inside. So we can get you instead of versions of everybody else. And this is something that I thought was kind of left in high school. But as far as, social media, it has been exasperated, it's been magnified, if you will. So, where everybody was kind of cliquish at the high school tables, at the lunch cafeteria, that same thing has still taken root on individuals 30, 40, 50 years old. You're trying to be something that you know that you probably aren't on the inside. But you find it easier to do because when you turn on social media, oh, this is the role I should be playing. This is where I should be right now. Let me put on a happy face. Let me show them that my progress. When that's not even something that you're truly living. And I found, this is just me, because you guys are tuning in with me, right? Let's rock with me. Let's talk about it. When I chose to listen to me, and I do that in the form of reading, I do it in the form of meditating, I do it in the form of journaling. And when you do things like that, that solitude, not in a bad way, but that's in a good way, you're getting to know you and who you are. And what do you gain by doing it? You gain freedom. You gain peace of mind. You gain self-awareness and understanding. You find out what you like and what you don't like. You're not easily persuaded. And so, as I mentioned in my first episode, is for the older generation to show the younger generation how you deal with strife, how you deal with problems, how you pick up the torch and you keep going. And you do that by being your authentic self. I see guys my age, and again, I'm 41 years old, soon to be 42, acting like these 20, 25-year-olds. And that ain't authenticity at any level, you know. And again, I know it's that herd mentality or that pack mentality that it's easily to have when we're younger, but that goes even further. Side note, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a therapist, and he was mentioning, I don't really know if this holds true. I haven't had time to look into it, but he was like, yeah, back in the day, our frontal lobes were fully developed around the age of 25. But due to this new social media age, that has been pushed back to 32, which, I can't say I was surprised, but I didn't quite understand or know that it was 32. And I think one of the enablers in this is being attached, wanting to have that approval of everyone else. You want to look around and be like everyone else. And so when it's time to be you, when it's time to stand firm in your convictions, it's harder to do because we don't know how to think and lead ourselves because we don't disconnect in order to connect. So I don't want to ramble on that topic, but I think it bears mentioning today. There are some things that we just have to go back to the simpler times on. And back in 2025, I saw a lot of individuals having a hard time with themselves because they can't understand how to deal with themselves. All right. So that's one thing I want to leave back in 2025. And another thing, boy, I hope this narrative changed this year. I want to leave this gender war stuff back in 2025. I've mentioned it before, but this gender war stuff is played out. I mean, there has always been hard times in relationships. There has always been differences between the sexes. But when did it become so cool to put down the other sex like every day? Like you can't do nothing right like every day. She can't do anything right to appeal or please the gentleman, and he can't do anything right in her eyes. And what take it to social media. All men are bad. All women are bad. And they like to generalize it for the entire party. And I think that's something that I want to make sure is left, in 2025. And we have to change that narrative. Let me tell you this: is like every one of us have been sitting right beside an older individual, a grandparent, an older uncle or aunt, and you probably didn't know everything they were talking about, but you can kind of get it from their mannerisms that they weren't quite happy with their spouse, or they wouldn't quite in the know or on the same page with their spouse. But they heard it, they took it. All right, baby, I'm gonna go ahead and do it as you say. And I think this is where that whole happy wife, happy life thing came from, which again, y'all know I don't really go through that. And I love how the narrative on that is starting to change. Happy spouses, happy houses. Or happy houses, happy spouses. One of those. But I say that because we're both needed. Like me personally, my wife, she sees things that don't even cross my mind. She She thinks in 9, 10, 11s. I think in 1 and 2s. You give me them 2 tasks to do, I'm going to do them to the best of my ability. They're going to get done. No questions asked. But you throw in 3, 4, 5, I might get half of it, but it ain't going to be the best of my ability. And my wife, she comes in, she sees my blind spots. And that's what I love about her. And so, and one of the things that I hope that she loves about me is that, yes, I see danger. Yes, I see things that she probably would like. Hey, that's not something I want to kind of embark in. But me, I'm like, we'll be good. We'll be fine. So, and one of those an analogy that I like to use in a relationship standpoint is that when we going on a journey together, you know, when we're going on a journey together in the same direction, me and her, we craft out a plan. I present that plan, and she's like, we're like a voyager. We're going this way, but she's the hawk on my shoulder. She sees all the danger that's out in front of us. She comes back to report. Because me, I'm worried about the big picture. She sees the alligator here. She sees the lion behind that bush. She sees the buffalo around the corner, which I can't see. I'm worried about the bigger picture. So when we put those two things together, trust in each other, life begins to be a wonderful partnership. Now, it doesn't go without its strife or issues, but we don't need to put one another down in order to elevate or rather bring ourselves up. And, and I'm going to say it again, we don't need to put each other down in order to elevate ourselves up. So when we're going into 2026, or that we're in 2026, when you hear others around you talk negative about, and that's if they're in a relationship or not, let's try to change that narrative, y'all. I mean, Debbie Downers, we don't need Debbie Downers everywhere. Let's just pick each other up, play devil's advocate to certain areas, and let's try to do this thing the right way this year. All right. When we talk about relationships, y'all, this is one of the things that I really think is hindering a lot of anyone from 15, 18, 21, 25 is this misnomer of the Hollywood rich and famous life. I don't want no man unless he's making X, Y, and Z. He's paying all of my bills. That notion, man, I'm telling you, that comparison or that metric in which you're guiding your relationships off of is totally misconstrued. Now, let me break this down. I think it's harder for the men right now trying to level up on unrealistic expectations. Let me put it to where the chicken can get it. So when me and my wife were building, I didn't have a lot of money. Oh, I see these young kids say a lot of money, young. I didn't. I was a young man trying to figure out what I was supposed to do in life. And while I was trying to figure it out, she too was trying to figure it out. And I leaned on her, she leaned on me. Like, well, he must know what he doing, and oh well, she must know what she's doing. And over the years, we cultivated this groove that worked for us, but we didn't give up on each other. And she didn't have that unrealistic expectation for me. She just saw that drive and want for a better life in me. And that spoke precedence. I mean, that made me feel at ease. So all this exterior, well, we need to go on 6, 7 vacations a year. He need to make over 6 figures right now. He need to pay all my bills like yesterday. He need to be in ultimate tip top shape. all that, man. Come on, miss me with all that. Me, miss me with all that. You know, and I think that what I've seen, this is pretty much on social media, um, is that there are a lot of uh, young men that are trying to measure up to guys that are 40, 50, 60 years old, and then they're only 18, 20, 21. And so back in the day, yes, and I'm gonna tell you this, it is harder for them to put on the blinders because they're always on social media. So that comparison narrative is always there. But they're trying to literally compare their lives to a 50-year-old that lives in Italy. And they're thinking that they're left or too far behind. Man, you ain't even got started yet. But then on the reverse side, there are young ladies the same age as these young men saying, you should be this, or you should be there, or I should have this, or we should be doing this, or you're lame because you don't have X, Y, Z. Y'all, I'm not making this stuff up. This is all on social media. And so that metric in which these young guys are trying to level up and measure up to, it's not even possible. They don't even know who they are yet. And so then you have these young ladies who are fire and brimstone if you want. These young ladies who are looking up to the wrong women, and it's it ain't the kind of women that other young ladies or women around my age used to look up to, the homemakers and stuff like that. No, it's the glitz and glam, So um, that unrealistic expectations placed on young men, and then young men, I'm gonna give it to you too. That unrealistic expectations placed on these young ladies, and it's more, not even the financial part. It's more in the expectations of you need to look like this Hollywood superstar 24/7, and now she has to put on a mask every day to appease you. Or if I don't get the BBLs, if I don't get the lip filler, if I don't wear clothes this small or whatever, he's not gonna like me. Young lady, your self-worth is not in looking or playing a part for a young man who's lost himself. So and again, it's easier for me to speak more on the male kind because I am one. But young lady, you don't have to do things that's outside of your nature, that's outside of your upbringing, and you know the rules in which your family has set forth for you. You've seen it, and so pull back from some of these unrealistic expectations that you've placed on yourself based off of uh, social media. Okay, so we're gonna do better, y'all. I mean, going into this year, we are gonna do better. And I'm going to do my part to sit here and have these tough conversations with you guys because, this gender wars, we're leaving it. We're leaving it in 25. All right. And then this comparison narrative, Hollywood rich and famous, that narrative has got to stop. It's okay to get it out the mud. It's okay to struggle a little bit. It is okay. And then once you understand that living the life that excuse me. So let me tell you this. Once you fall in love with the life you're trying to create and you start doing it, and then outwardly you start to see the effects on what your entire internal dialogue has produced, that's freeing. That is so freeing. And I'm only saying that out of love, and I'm not telling you guys something that I haven't done myself. So now that we're here, let's make the best of it. Let's be the light that we're trying to see in our circles. Let's be that positive voice that we can share and uplift one another. And that's going to be my biggest mission this year. Okay. Now I do want to talk some side note stuff here. All right. So we got those two things out of the way. going forward, I do want to have other individuals to sit right across from me, or I could even send a link to have these conversations out loud. And I can't wait to do that. So we're gonna have a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more um, activity going on between me. And again, that's another way that you guys can kind of see who I am, where I come from, and we can have these tough or quote unquote hard conversations aloud, and that way you can kind of see the full authentic me. And then some of these side conversations that we have at the work by the water fountain, or uh, at our kids' sporting event, that's kind of what I look to bring, to this venue. So yeah, those are the two topics for today. So now I would like to open it up for you guys to send me a DM, send me a email. So talk with Ken type of questions, okay? So and for those of you in radio world, you can send those to my email, or you can send those to my DMs on social. All right, and that's at Talks with Ken on all platforms. I can't wait to receive those questions from you guys, and I can't wait to have our next conversation. All right, this is Kendrick Rowland signing out. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. All right, with love. Peace.